All right, I'm going to go a little bit faster here through this stuff. The other thing, simply because I get worked up about this too, one of the mistakes marketers make is that they kind of crank through day to day doing essentially similar things. It's like, oh yeah, we figured out the blogging thing, and every other week on a Thursday we're going to publish this kind of a blog article, and they go through and they crank along, and you get what I call kind of this linear, predictable growth, which is fine, works well, but it's boring. So my advice to you from an inbound marketing perspective is every now and then, 1 out of 10 articles, 1 out of 20 pieces of content should be uncomfortable and radical. And the reason is that out of those, 1 of them will hit. Like you should design it and say, you know what, we're going to do this, and just try it, experiment with it. Because what happens is, we have this at HubSpot. So HubSpot generated close to 19,000 leads last month, right? So we do blogging, we do videos, we do webinars, we do all sorts of stuff. But we also experiment, and we can trace back in terms of success that we've had to individual things that we tried that says, oh, you know, where our traffic was around 1,000 visitors a day, and then we did this. Could have been the music video, there were multiple things. And it spikes it. We'll get 50,000 people, like 50x the traffic in the next day. And no, we don't stay at 50,000. We kind of drop back down, but we find a new floor. Now our daily visitors are 1,500, so we went up by 50% in a single day through a single event. Now, the reality is that's hard to do, right? It's like it's not quite as bad as playing the lottery, but you have to kind of approach it with this kind of portfolio theory that says we're going to try and do one wacky thing every week, every month, whatever frequency you're comfortable with, and out of 10 wacky things, 1 of them hopefully will hit. And when it hits big. You get lots of inbound links, lots of traffic, lots of new customers that you would not have had before. And if you look at the alternative in terms of advertising and all these other outbound things or whatever, you're basically like paying $1 and you're getting something back, and there's like no surprises, which is fine, but that's not the way to live your life. Life is short. Try something fun, try something creative, and you have people in your organization, if not find some, that are going to take these risks. And it's never as risky as people make them out to be. So I talk to Fortune 500 CMOs, I talk to people in small business, and lots of them push back, like, Dharmesh, can we really do that? And I defy them, and actually they go back and try it to like find one example of someone that wrote a blog article that was slightly controversial where the company went out of business or the CEO got fired or something really, really bad happened. It's in theory. The anecdotal evidence doesn't exist. People overestimate the risk of taking these kind of content. I'm not saying do something stupid. It should be relevant to your market. Don't do something completely crazy, but try new stuff and try and hit that big thing. The other thing that works in terms of blogging is polarization. You need to stand for something when you're out there marketing, and you're trying to stand out. You're trying to do remarkable content. And what I mean by this is that you're going to say something somewhat controversial every now and then, maybe all the time. And for everyone that kind of just completely disagrees with your point of view, it's like, they're just friggin' wrong. You will have passionate people that agree. And those passionate people that agree will follow you on Facebook, will retweet your tweets, they'll read your blog, they will be active advocates of spreading your message because they agree so much. And the only way to get them to agree that much is you have to take if you take the middle of the road, it's like, oh yeah, well, I can see it both ways. I can see how it could be this way and that way, whatever. People don't read that. And they may read it, like if you're in the startup world, which I am, if you're a startup or a small business, the average startup and small business dies. You don't want to be average. You want to kind of pull at the edges, have a point of view, because that works. So if you look at it from HubSpot's perspective, and I had this question earlier this morning, so this is the position I take in lots of speaking gigs, which is like, outbound marketing is bad. I bang on tables and say it harms kittens. You should not be doing it. No more advertising, no more telemarketing, no more any of this stuff. Outbound marketing harms kittens. That's our point of view, right? And the question was, and when asked point blank, because I have a hard time lying, like, well, Dharmesh, do you guys do any outbound marketing at all? And I'm like, well, heck yeah, we do outbound marketing. We're a business. We're red-blooded capitalists. It works to some degree. But if we were out there saying, well, so we have, there's this world called marketing, and you have inbound stuff, and you have outbound stuff, and you have this over here and that over there, whatever, I wouldn't get invited to speaking events. People wouldn't buy the book or whatever. Sometimes you need to take a polarizing stand, even though you don't 100% necessarily believe it, but it works. And like, people understand. It's like, yeah, of course they're doing outbound stuff as well, and we'll admit to it, but it makes for much more interesting content when you can take a relatively definitive stand on something, whatever your industry happens to be, because most of the industries that you're in are broken. Talk about why they're broken. What are you doing about it? Why do you exist? All right, so we'll talk about social media, and I have, I think, about 11 minutes to go in terms of timing. All right, So you have this blog, you've got this content, you've got white papers, you've got something, whatever it happens to be. The nice thing about social media, so all the things I'm going to tell you about social media are not and I had lots of good, squishy, fun slides with little children and hand paint. I literally did. I took some of those slides out. We're going to talk about the business side of social media in terms of primarily about Facebook, and we'll talk about Twitter. The big value that you will see from social media as content creators, that I hope for all of you to be, is that it's a great way to get people to spread your content. So let's say you write this article on your blog, and you've been writing on the blog for 4 or 6 months, but this particular article you think is like industry defining. It's life changing. It should win a Nobel Prize if business articles won Nobel Prizes. What you want to do is you want to use social media, and you need to kind of build up a following, we'll talk about that, to be able to spread that article. So for the times that you make that investment that says, this is an article that should spread. It deserves to be spread. It deserves to be read. Social media can kind of be that momentum behind that content. It can help you spread the content that you've invested in and get it out in front of more people, essentially. We'll talk about how you do that. By the way, just on a quick note, this one's simple. In your blog, on your website, like the first thing you should do is you should make it easy for people to share your content. So go to the HubSpot blog, go to any of the major blogs, whatever, you'll see tweet this, share this on Facebook, email this or whatever. You need to make it like brain dead, stupid easy for someone that sees your article or sees your content and says, oh yeah, well that's kind of cool. I want to send it to Joe, either on Facebook or email or whatever. It should be like a click right there. Don't make it hard for them. It's like, oh, I take the URL and I paste it over here and I log into Facebook. Don't do that. Make it easy for them, because the easier you make it for them, the more likely they are to do it. Fundamentally, we're lazy and attention deprived. So, all right, so let's talk about Facebook. So the reality is, how many people are on Facebook, at least have a Facebook account today? All right, just about everybody. And the reason a lot of you have a Facebook account is because over time you just gave up, right? It's like you got invites from your boyfriend or girlfriend from high school, somebody from grade school, your 6th grade English teacher, whoever. And then you just got tired of ignoring them. It's like, okay, fine, I will join Facebook, right? And you did it, and that's fine. And it turns out lots of people did the same thing. So there are over 400 million people on Facebook today, as far as users. And then, so the argument that comes back is, well, Dharmesh, that's fine. There's 400 million people on Facebook, but like, they're mostly like college kids and things like that. My market, my customers, my prospects are not on Facebook. That's not where I'm going to find my customers. So I spoke at a reverse mortgage lenders association conference. I didn't know there was such a thing. I didn't know what a reverse mortgage was. But anyway, I spoke at that, and I got this argument in advance, at least I had in my head. And so I went off and did some research. We're going to talk about this. As it turns out, the fastest growing demographic on Facebook are women over the age of 55. Fastest growing demographic, joining by the hundreds of thousands. So do not underestimate, and we'll talk about some, actually we'll go to this next because it's kind of fun. For those of you that are looking to kind of get onto Facebook, if you have the question going on in your head right now, okay, I want to build something for my business on Facebook. Should I create a group, which Facebook supports, or should I create a fan page, which sounds kind of weird? The answer is you should create a fan page. So if you have that decision going on in your head right now, and there's lots of reasons for it, but trust me, you've done this. But we're going to talk about this, and what this is. So if you go to Facebook, and Facebook supports advertising, and it's a kind of standard display advertising where you want your banner ad or something along the right or along the top sometimes. And I'm not going to suggest that you go off and buy Facebook advertising. What I am going to suggest is if you log on to Facebook and you go to the very, very bottom, there's a link that says advertise, as if you were going to buy a Facebook ad. And you need to pretend like you're going to buy a Facebook ad. And when you do that, when you click on that link, a screen that comes up looking like this. It's essentially this form. I'm going to read some of it out to you because it's hard to read in the back. But basically it says, oh, pick a country. And I happen to have picked the United States. You can pick a state. You can pick a city. Pick an age demographic. Pick a gender. Pick a relationship status, married, engaged, or whatever. Likes and interests. What's in their job title? What groups have they joined? What affinities do they have? And so you can kind of fill out this form. And I haven't bought an ad yet, by the way. You fill out this form, and what Facebook will tell you is essentially the number of users on Facebook that fit that profile.